When I wake up, I'm starting to sense that I'm not sitting inside the tank anymore. Slowly I come to realize that I'm lying down. I still have the eyes closed. It's difficult for me to open them. A certain languor has grabbed me. I must first start to think. So one thing after another. First, I think about my eyes, but before I can open them, these pains set in. Not just here and there a bit, but rather like a red-hot dagger, it's stabbing me right in the middle of my head. Oh God, I'm getting sick. Wait for it. Breathe. Don't move. I concentrate and try to tolerate the pain. After 20 minutes, it's already a little better. Light comes through my eyelids. I give it a try. Slowly I open the eyelids, but I'm only able to see blurry, and I have the feeling that my eyes are glued shut. But I can see outlines, a light, though very weak, apparently a room, a white painted ceiling. I don't dare to turn my head because with every tensioning of the neck muscles, there's a stab in the head. All right then, as before, we try to first find out what all is still working. So I'm able to see already. Thinking works too. I'm able to move the tongue, and if I try hard, I'm able to make sounds. But always one step after another, because everything that I try hurts like hell inside the skull. Down the list, carefully moving the left leg feels normal. Right leg, yes, that's also still there, and I'm able to move it. Left hand, all fingers are there. Lifting up also works. Right hand, okay. Then the arm, and like a glowing piece of iron, the pain almost yanks me back into unconsciousness. I'm able to move the arm minimally, but that was it. And I believe I feel my fingers, but can't really move them quite right. Well, so except for the hellish pain in the upper body and in the head, everything seems to still be attached. I doze off again and wake up again at some point when I hear voices. Though the ears are also all right, it's getting better and better. A female voice talks to me whether I was thirsty. I try to look. A nurse is looking at me. I crow out a "yes, please," and she hands me a cup of water. A blessing, because my mouth is as dry as the desert in Africa. I ask what's wrong with me, and the lady explains to me that the doctor would come by later. Some painkillers would be also nice. But then she's already gone again. Again I doze off. That's quite all right though, because when you're asleep you don't have any pain. I wake up again. It seems to be early evening already, since it's darker than earlier. I can make out the outlines of 3 individuals. Slowly the picture is becoming clearer. A doctor and 2 nurses are standing next to my bed. Very politely, the doctor says to me that I'm in a military hospital 50 kilometers behind Rostov and I've been very lucky. I try to remember, but there's nothing. I attempt to answer his questions with a hoarse voice, but it's very difficult for me, and I'm also feeling sick. He explains to me that I'd suffered a very big laceration to the skull and a shot in the shoulder. Muscles and collarbone were damaged, but one would manage to fix it back up. The laceration had been stitched, but the concussion was something else. On top of that was an amnesia, which, however, would usually only last a few days. Soon I'd be fit for transport, and then it would go toward the homeland. I'm already happy about the fact that I hadn't caught too much. A shoulder shot is bad, but if was no fracture, it will be all right. Just takes time and can really hurt. Laceration number 4 to the head. That's also not too bad. But that I can't remember is the worst. Has Rosinante been hit and we got out? Was I in the field and caught a bullet? Did the Stalin origins finally get us? No, otherwise I would certainly have been struck with shrapnel somewhere. Feverishly I'm thinking about that also hurts in the head. The nurse brings me water and the bedpan. You gotta do what you gotta do. I would probably be able to walk to the bathroom, but I think then my head would explode. This time I ask for some pain medication and then do receive a pill. Oh, what a relief when I feel the effect of the pill. The throbbing pain in the shoulder subsides and the head isn't hammering away with every moment. It could stay that way. Later I doze off again. The next morning it's already going better, but getting up or moving the arm is hopeless. Frantically I try to remember what happened. I only have fragments before my eyes. Rosinante is stuck in a ditch, and we were pulled out. Yes, the comrades from the anti-tank unit were there with the heavy haulers, or was it the anti-aircraft soldiers? Somehow we wanted to move on toward the bridges, but there's only darkness. The uncertainty makes me pensive and sad, since I don't know what happened to my comrades. But if I'd been shot, the tank could still be in one piece. The nurse is back again and I'm being moved into a different room. Here are 3 other soldiers, all moderately severe injured. Within my possibilities, I attempt some conversation, which is very difficult for me due to the headaches. To the left of me is Peter, an infantry soldier from Munich. During an assault, he'd gotten into a mortar barrage with his platoon, during which 5 men had fallen and 4 were wounded. He was hit with shrapnel. The shockwave then also knocked him against the wall of a house. Both legs broken and shrapnel in the rear. He remarks jokingly. The 7th battle wound since 41, he tells me, and that the foot soldiers would always get hit with everything. Since being in the East, there were only 10 men left from his old bunch. They had arrived at the Eastern Front with 130 comrades. What a blood toll in wounded and dead. Opposite lies Hans, a pioneer who was a victim of a Russian booby trap. The bastard, they triple mined their holes. You disarm the first charge, when you lift it up, then there's a pull wire which you also cut. Then all seems clean, but when you lift up the second charge, the last part will blow your ears off. Half his face was hit by shrapnel, and he lost a few fingers. I was lucky, he says to me, but removing mines and explosive charges won't work with those hands any longer. The last of our bunch is from the artillery. Eugen was assigned to a crew of a heavy field artillery piece. When relocating with the large potato launchers, a tow tractor received a direct hit. 8 men were dead immediately. He himself lost a foot, and also the right eye could not be saved. He remarks now he was a pirate with a wooden peg and an eye patch, and we have to laugh about it wholeheartedly. Yes, humor is the last we still have left. For Eugen, the war at the front's over. Certainly he'll be able to teach at some military school, but with an artillery piece, that won't work out anymore. Then I'm supposed to tell how I ended up here, but unfortunately, I'm still waiting for the memories. More than explaining to my roommates that I'm a tanker and don't know what happened, I'm not able to say. Despite that, many questions are put to me, and in the meantime, I try to ignore my headaches. At some point, I wave it off, and the boys understand it. The head is doing me in. Nevertheless, this is a funny round. Something is always being told. I listen and laugh inside when it's another one of these hilarious tales. One time, Eugen tells about German defectors who then would work for the Russians. I follow the narrative, but I can't imagine it. Supposedly, there were even German officers who'd been with the Russians and then returned to issue false orders. That way, the Russians would then be able to snatch some of our comrades again. That's really something. So you should recognize any superior who issues a strange order as a turncoat. It won't be that simple, but let's wait and see. Again, a few days have passed. My nausea is now gone. The head still hurts, but I can already sit up in bed without suffering hellish agony. A few more days, then it would go home, explains the doctor to me after he's examined me. Shoulder and arm are not quite movable, but that should also go all right. I think about Gudrun a lot. Soon I will be home again, and surely there will be some convalescent leave. I'd write to her all right, but my letter would certainly just arrive after myself. So for now, wait for where in the Reich I will come. Toward the late afternoon, I then hear a familiar voice in the hallway. Here comes Corporal Schmidt through the door with a small basket in his hand. He's happy to see me and starts right away to crack some jokes. Bread, cheese and wine the crazy guy has organized for me. With the best regards from your crew. The lieutenant thinks you should get back to the regiment soon. You're needed. A giant weight has been lifted off my heart. So all are well. I can't stand the excitement, but Schmidt is taking his time. The croc. First, he introduces himself to the comrades, and here, too, there are a few funny lines. Now tell what has happened already. I nag him. He takes a long pause, as if having to think. I want to give him a nudge, but my bodily function isn't yet such that my fist would even reach him. He laughs by himself, then he's finally got a heart. So, Rudolf, what do you still know of the day of you getting wounded? Briefly, I lay out what happened and what I can remember. Well, now then. You were halfway there with Rosinante and the heavy haulers. Then you were indeed attacked by a Russian cavalry unit who had hidden themselves well in the fields. Apparently, they were onto you so fast that neither the 20mm nor the tank gun could be deployed effectively. Therefore, you fought with machine guns and rifles. Why did you then, when the battle succeeded and the Russians were in retreat, get out of the tank? Up there on the turret, you caught a shot, then impacted head first onto the cannon barrel and then on the ground. Since it wasn't far to the staging point anymore, they doctored you up properly and handed you over to the medics unconscious. Then with a wounded transport to Rostov. And now you're here. I'd already thought you were finished, but you just can't be killed. We chat some more, and after an hour he has to go again. I give him best wishes to my comrades along and hope that we will see each other again soon. In the evening, we four empty the bottle of wine and inhalate together the bread and cheese. Tomorrow it's going toward home, back to normal life. No tanks, no Russians, no bullets.